Last November, the first ship arrived at Abu Dhabi's Port Khalifa. It's not fully open for business yet, but when finished will be an integral part of KEZAD, a 417 square kilometre industrial zone, being built some 60 kilometres from Abu Dhabi's capital. The first phase should be ready by the fourth quarter of 2012 at a cost of $7.2 billion.
It's a massive undertaking. It's about industrial clusters, linking primary industries such as aluminium, steel, glass and many others into clusters where the midstream industries and the downstream industries can get benefits of economy of proximity.
The zone is part of Abu Dhabi's plan to diversify its economy, and with unemployment running at an estimated 13%, create much needed jobs.
There's two very clear measures of success for KEZAD. Economic diversity, and the target's 15% of the GDP of non-oil generating benefits by 2030, but also to create up to 100,000 quality jobs. So this is a big part of how Abu Dhabi also creates quality jobs, and within that, of course, a significant proportion of quality Emirati jobs.
Abu Dhabi Ports Company and KEZAD play a cornerstone role in the Abu Dhabi 2030 vision realization. They are very much an enabler for economic development. They are a key part for the diversification and encouragement of diversification of economy.
Abu Dhabi, with 7% of the world's oil reserves, can afford to spend heavily to achieve this, but there are other factors that help.
One of the advantages that the Gulf economies have, being young economies, is that they can actually start from scratch. They don't inherit a legacy of industry deep inland or somewhere else. They can actually build industry and plan it from the get-go to link up with the transportation and optimize the logistics of any industrial plan that they're actually putting in place.
The development is also designed to take advantage of fundamental changes to the global economy.
Since 1980, the industry has absolutely transformed in terms of sea trade. And certainly what we've seen over that time is the Far East has gone from 30% of the world's global trade up to 60%.
There is a shift in the center of gravity in terms of global economic activity, and the trade pattern, I think, is changing to reflect that. And over the next few years, I think the trade linkages with the Asian economies, the emerging economies, will be greater.
$46.5 billion is currently being spent on ports across the Middle East, which raises the question of overcapacity. KEZAD is being built just down the road from the giant Dubai port of Jebel Ali. Does the UAE really need two ports?
I think that the manufacturing output of the region is going to justify the investment in the ports. I also think that while there are a number of ports that are popping up across the coast of the Arabian Gulf, those ports are not necessarily competing with one another. For example, the port that's coming in Abu Dhabi is not going to be competing with Jebel Ali, the existing port. The Abu Dhabi port is primarily aimed at servicing Emal, the Emirates aluminium plant, and other ancillary industries that are going to take hold in that area.
There's also the issue of whether it's being built at the wrong time in the global economic cycle.
Currently, we are expecting the global economy will expand at a rate of about 3 or 4% a year over the next decade, and I think that will accommodate the region's expansion kind of ambitions.
The share of economic activity for GCC economies and, in general, the Middle East, I think, is rising within global economic activity. So we are projecting in the next 5 years, in fact, for the share of MENA economies to near double.
Abu Dhabi is also investing heavily in trains, building a rail network that will initially stretch from inland gas fields to the port of Ruwais and should be completed by 2013.
We will be moving for ADNOC around 7.5 million tonnes of sulphur per annum from their new plants in the western region by 2014. One train can remove around 300 lorries. 300 trucks from the roads. That's a huge benefit in terms of safety, in terms of the environment and so on.
By 2018, the UAE will have, at a cost of $10.9 billion, 1,200 kilometres of track linking all the UAE's major ports, cities and airports.
There's a railway network being planned in Oman, in Saudi Arabia, in Bahrain, in Kuwait, in Qatar, and that will be genuinely joined up. So we are building the railway to the same technical standards. The tracks the same distance apart, the signalling system's the same, and so on and so forth, to make sure that you can have sort of seamless movement between the various countries. Longer term, we could even see further afield. It's not that far into the future that we could run railway trains through into Europe.
There's no doubt Abu Dhabi has ambitious plans. The thing is, though, it can afford to make them happen. But the question remains whether there is the demand or necessity to fill an industrial zone the size of Singapore.